All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. Sun-kissed outside.
It's lovely.
And Jim Schwartz at the podium.
Okay.
What was your biggest takeaway and lesson learned from the first time you guys faced Lamar?
I don't know. I think I'll just leave that. I'll leave that for the Ravens to figure out. There's no sense in me talking about what we did well, what we did poorly, and what we're changing.
What kind of a challenge is he, though, obviously, with his ability to take the smallest play and turn it into a big one?
Yeah, I mean, he made some scramble plays and some quarterback run plays in the first game that we played, and we'll have to do better on those. We did a lot of good things in the first game too. Didn't play a consistent game, didn't finish the game well, but there's a lot to build on from that game.
What does a dynamic tight end like Mark Andrews do to stress a defense specifically?
Well, he's really good at uncovering when the quarterback's scrambling. The quarterback has confidence in him, and they seem to have some sort of mental telepathy. They always seem to be moving in the same direction when the quarterback scrambles. So, he's a big target. He's got really good hands, and he's just really instinctive to try to break open and make himself friendly to the quarterback.
Having Odell, obviously he didn't play the first match. How does having him affect the rest of their passing game?
Well, I mean, obviously it adds another weapon. They have a full arsenal of guys. You mentioned the tight ends. They got a couple tight ends that are tough outs, particularly in the passing game. But veteran player like Aguilar, veteran player like Odell, a young player like Flowers, and a good running attack, the best running attack in the NFL. So, they have weapons at a lot of different places, and we're going to have to play our best on defense.
Jim, I know you go against the Ravens offense, but you consider this like a battle between you and Mike McDonald with their defense? Both of you guys are rated high in many categories.
Yeah, ratings don't mean anything to this game. We have to go out and perform our best and not worry about what the other side of the ball is doing or what they're doing on defense. We have our own challenges. We have things that we need to accomplish, and worrying about, comparing ourselves to somebody else is not going to fulfill any of those, objectives that we have.
Keaton Mitchell adding to an already really good run game for them. Their rookie.
Oh yeah, made some big plays last week. They got a lot of different kind of backs. Between Hill and Edwards and Mitchell. They different sizes, different strengths. And I think when they lost their starter at the beginning of the year, they were sort of finding it. Well, they didn't replace him with just one guy. They replaced him with a bunch of different guys, and that's sort of the way this league goes. You get different players that have different strengths. The thing about playing offense is, you're the one that can decide what personnel packages you're going to be in. You can decide, how you're going to use a guy, whatever. Like, if you don't like him in pass protection, well, free release him. If you don't like him in the pass game, well, run the ball. So I think there's ways that offensive coordinators can make use of guys that have very distinctive, skill sets, and we'll know which running backs in the game, and we'll have a plan for each of them.
I asked Grant in the locker room about whether he thought the change in scheme or a different attitude defensively was a little more impactful for them this year. And he said he really couldn't answer between the two because he felt like they were both equally impactful. How do you feel about what you have learned about this team for the first couple of months here, and the attitude in particular that they play with?
I know we're a work in progress. We're only halfway through the season. We got a long way to go. When the season's over, we can talk about what made a difference for us, or different things like that. Our total focus is on the Ravens, and we're worried about that right now, as opposed to what's transpired over the last 8 months or whatever it's been.
Notice defense is catching up to offenses across the league this year.
I don't pay attention to much around the league other than the opponents that we're playing. So we got our hands full every week, and that's what our focus is on is trying to figure that stuff out as opposed to trying to figure out greater trends.
Miles said he's always thinking about a shutout. Are you the same way? And how special was it to get one?
What was the first part of your question?
I was always thinking about a shutout.
Yeah, we're just trying to win the next series. You know, I think I've been on the record as saying, you know, the defensive job is to limit scoring and then try to set the offensive up in good field position, which you can do a lot of different ways. You can do it like a backed up stop, like we did, or a turnover, or even just a punt with a good return. You know, there's a lot of different ways to do that. But, you know, I mean, every drive we're trying to limit scoring. And if you do that well over the course of a game, obviously you're going to keep the score down and, you know, potentially have a shutout. We're trying to win the game. You know, not a lot of style points. You know, I think, you know, I've said before, you know, how we're doing on defense is 5-3. How the individual players are doing on defense is 5-3. It's hard in this league. It's hard to stop offenses. You know, we have to play our very best every series, every down. And if we do that over the course of the game, then we'll get good results. You know, and I think the result last week was an indicator of good, consistent defense, and that's something that we've been struggling the previous 2 weeks to find.
Well, takeaways, what's been the difference there, and how do you sustain that now through the meat of the schedule here?
Yeah, well, you guys brought it to our attention, so we decided that we were going to try to get takeaways. Yeah, I mean, again, you know, there's if you concentrate on doing your job, being physical when you do it, you know, turnovers come. And if you spend your time fretting about turnovers or trying to create turnovers, a lot of times you can go down the wrong path. And, you know, you look at the ones in the game, you know, they came from guys doing their job, you know, guys, you know, playing physical, you know, Sione's interception was a direct result of Isaiah McGuire's first, you know, time playing in the NFL. And, you know, he didn't play great all the time, but he played really good on that play and pushed that guy right into the quarterback and had a lot to do with creating that turnover. So, you know, it's where you know, your physicality and your pursuit and your you know, your effort sort of meets opportunity, and we have to take advantage of them, you know, when they come. And you know, I think you saw that in this game. But you know, we're trying to do our job, trying to play good defense, trying to play together, trying to be physical, have some passion for the game, and play with good effort. When we do all those things, the end of that equation is turnovers will come.
And when we just talked to Alex, he said they celebrated no turnover game with a party, complete with confetti. So my question is, how did you celebrate 58 yards of total offense?
Yeah, I mean, the same as any other win. You know, we generally don't, you know, look at stats for self, you know, worth or, you know, anything like that. You know, even in that game, there were still little things that we can clean up, and you know, we're trying to do whatever we can to get the win, and we're going to celebrate that, whether it's a high-scoring game like the Colts, or you know, a game like we just played. You know, we'll keep our eyes on those things. You know, obviously we play, the whole team plays better when you get turnovers and don't turn it over. You know, there's no offense that goes into a game saying, yeah, we're probably going to turn it over 2-3 times in this game. It's just, you know, the way things happen. You can't really plan that stuff. But that's a good formula for us. Good formula, not turning the ball over and getting turnovers and getting stops on third down. I mean, they didn't get a first down on third down until late in that game when our backups were in the game. So, you know, those things all add into, you know, coming out with a victory. And that's the most important thing. You know, how many yards you give up and, points and everything else. When you get the win, you feel good, and we'll have confetti for that.
Having, Odell back for this game and Rashad and now Mitchell in there, Ronnie Stanley, is it almost like you're preparing for a different opponent in some ways than in that first meeting?
Not really. No, not really. I mean, they have quality players they put in with backup players, and, we're going to have guys potentially missing too. So, their scheme has stayed the same. They've evolved a little bit over the course of the season. Every team does. We've evolved and do things just a little bit different here and there. So, when it's all said and done, they have a pretty good idea, like, who we are. We have a pretty good idea who they are. Maybe there'll be a couple different faces in there, but it'll be a good AFC North battle.
Probably a limited number of extra special athletes in the NFL. I mean, they're all great, but extra special. Lamar, they have one. You have one, Maya. Does he need to match in the framework of his assignments? Does he need to show up big for you guys to win this?
Yeah, I mean, he shows up big all the time. I would say he just has to concentrate on being the best version of himself. And again, like, this game isn't going to be our defense versus their defense or one player versus another player. It's going to be the Ravens versus the Browns. And, we all have our part to play in that. In big games like this, you need your big players to come up big. And, Miles will be ready for that.
What do you think about Shelby and Delvin?
Yeah, all of our tackles played well. Those guys stood out a little bit more on the stat sheet, but, Jordan played very well, and, as did Mo. So, we're at our best when we stop the run. Those guys have a lot to do with that, being physical, knocking blockers back, being able to turn a game one-dimensional, is big for us. And, I just go back and you watch all the games that we've been able to control the first and second down run game. We've played well on defense, and we've been able to get sacks. If you don't control the first and second down pass game, you're not going to be able to get after the passer the way that we want it. Those guys have a lot to do with it. Dalvin, it's hard. Defensive tackles generally don't get, Aaron Donald's aside, generally don't get a lot of sacks. But to get 2.5 in that game and be around the quarterback and make the plays that he did, you guys understand, how respected and how valuable a guy Dalvin is, not just on the field but in the locker room. And it was really fun to watch him, have success in that game and lead us to a win. And sort of the unsung heroes of our team. I think a couple weeks ago I might have said something to the effect of, like, Dalvin didn't fill up the stat sheet, but he had a lot to do with us having a good game. Well, this game he was able to fill up the stat sheet still. So he's a valuable player for us, as all those tackles. We're getting really good contributions out of all those guys. They're not selfish. They split reps, but it keeps them fresh, and production is the only thing that we really worry about. All right, guys?
Yep, sure. All right, that's Jim Schwartz at the podium. Coming up next, we go behind enemy lines. Jeff Zrebiec joining us. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be part of one of the most passionate fan bases of the NFL. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster, official waitlist of the Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM is the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/waitlist to reserve your spot today. Time to head behind enemy lines. Jeff Zrebiec, our buddy, senior staff writer at The Athletic, joins us via the Twisted Tea hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Jeff, thanks so much for taking the time. This has been a buzzsaw the last month for Baltimore. Is this as good a team as they've had since Lamar Jackson has been there?
Ooh, that's hard to say because, 2019, the Browns came in there and just destroyed them. I remember that game where, Nick Chubb was running down the field with nobody in sight, and everyone was panicking, and talking about they were booed off their home field, and then they rattled off 12 straight regular season wins and finished 14-2. That team was a juggernaut. I mean, they obviously came up well short and kind of choked, for lack of a better word, in the playoffs. But that was as dominant as a Ravens team as I've covered, even more than the Super Bowl winning team in 12. But you're starting to see some glimpses of that team in the way they're doing things. I think what stops me from saying that is just the fact that they're still kind of prone to inconsistency week in and week out. I mean, they played as well as you can and beaten Detroit and Seattle, just completely dominating them in every phase. But in the middle of that, they go out to Arizona, and you guys saw how bad that Cardinals team is. And, they struggled for part of that game. The score was much closer than the actual game. I mean, they were in control, but they didn't get off to a good start, and they didn't finish the game well. So they still, they mix in these games where they just don't look very good, or they don't look engaged, and it's just been the inconsistency. But I think at full potential, like we've seen in a couple of these games, you can see why people are excited about them. I mean, things are coming together really well for them.
Jeff, I don't know what it's like in Baltimore, so I'm going to ask you, because nationally it seems like a lot of people are already on to the Ravens and the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. Is that the case in Baltimore, as you understand it? Not with the team, but just kind of the discourse.
I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, I think, every Ravens home game here, is a kind of an event. And I think the Browns have – I mean, look, this is a good Browns team.
Yep.
I think everybody knows how good the defense is, and I think everybody knows with Deshaun Watson as the quarterback. No disrespect to the kid who started in the first game, but obviously their offense is going to provide. Hey, how are you doing? Their offense is going to provide some more challenges than they did that week with the rookie at quarterback. So no, I don't necessarily sense that. I think people understand what kind of challenge this is for this Ravens team. I think people are still trying to figure out, look, what kind of team is this? Is this the Ravens team we're going to see going forward, or they're just going to kind of be a buzzsaw and dominate everybody, or is there going to be these games where they still seem to be interested in keeping the other team in the game and making mistakes and having to pull it out? So, I don't think everyone's completely bought into this team as a juggernaut yet and understand that this division's great. Every divisional game is going to kind of be a close dogfight.
Jeff, we had Todd Monken here a couple of years ago as the offensive coordinator, and while he did not have the control that I think, quite frankly, Nathan and I would have loved for him to see, or that he would have loved to have seen, we knew that there was a genius there at work.
Yes.
What has been the biggest difference that he has brought to this offense and to Lamar versus other incarnations of this offense, even the ones that have been successful, like you mentioned in 19?
I think it's the week-to-week kind of difference in the way they're attacking teams and what they can do. And I think Monken's arrival goes hand in hand with the improvement at the wide receiver position. The Ravens do not right now have a top wide receiver group by any means, but they do have a legitimate one. And you really couldn't say that in the past. In the past, it was, look, if you take away Mark Andrews in the passing game, all you had to worry about is the Ravens' run game. Now, Zay Flowers is having a really good rookie year. Rashad Bateman doesn't get thrown the ball much, but when he does, he seems to make plays. Beckham is not who he used to be, but he's plenty capable of making plays, and we've seen that. So I just think the arrival of Todd goes right along with an improvement in the skill positions, and just they have more ways of attacking teams and putting up points on the board rather than having to rely 100% on the run game. And Todd Monken, a week to week, you really don't know what you're going to get. I mean, he sort of attacks teams based on, their weaknesses and what's available. I mean, there's games they come out throwing, and then there's games they just run the heck out of the ball, like last week what they did against the Seahawks. But he's just brought a more balanced attack. He challenges different areas of the field more, when in the past it was a lot of the middle of the field. They didn't really take any shots. You kind of knew what they were going to do. Now he challenges defenses in a variety of ways, and they have the personnel that allows them to do that. And he's also given Lamar Jackson more control. I mean, and that's sort of helped Lamar flourish. He's making more decisions at the line of scrimmage. He's making changes. He's doing things as he sees them. And I think that's really given kind of Lamar Jackson a new accountability in this offense.
And Lamar has been sensational. We know he's leading the league, 71.5% completions, also leading the league for quarterbacks in rush yards per game. Nobody's led in both of those categories since 1994, Steve Young, who was the NFL and Super Bowl MVP that season. So obviously he's doing some pretty historic stuff here. When I kind of dove into the numbers, and I even go back to our game in week 4, he is playing under pressure in the pressure situations as well as anybody in the league. Number 1 in rating, number 1 in big-time throw percentage, number 1 in yards per attempt. And in fact, they're all better numbers than from a clean pocket. And you go back to our game, the 2 big plays, one he bought 20 seconds and then hit Zay Flowers down the field, and the other, we thought we had him sacked. He threw it across the field back to Mark Andrews, who broke a tackle and picked up about 40. What is making him so effective on those? And I even go back to the game, I think it was Arizona, where he threw a pass with like his right leg up in the air, off balance to Mark Andrews for a touchdown. It's plays that defenses would say, all right, we won that play until the very last second. Yeah. We did not. How is he doing that week in and week out so effectively this year?
Yeah, I just think that's sort of his skill set, his talent, not stifling what he does, feeling like he can do more of those things, and the offense is less scripted to do certain things like it was. Now, Greg Roman gets a terrible rap here. He's like public enemy number 1, which is ridiculous because they set all sorts of records with Greg Roman as their offense coordinator. But fans just will never forgive him, and he just, it's out of control. But the one thing Greg Roman, as we know, was never known for was, he's an amazing run game, amazing run schemes. It was the pass game that, we did not have an elaborate pass scheme, and I think they've, given Lamar more freedom to do different things, to play the way he wants to play. Lamar wants to succeed in the pocket, and he wants to have the freedom to change things up and do different things and be himself. I don't think things were bad between Lamar and Greg Roman at any point, but I just think he felt stifled sort of towards the end of Greg Roman's regime here and run as the offensive coordinator, and he feels like he has more freedom to play his kind of ball. And sometimes the best Lamar is, what you see, where he's just sort of, doing different things, changing things up, not going according to the script. I mean, that's where he can be really dangerous.
Yeah, he certainly can be. We spent a lot of time on this offense. The defense is right there as well, and obviously Browns defense, one of the best in the league. This one's right there with it as one of the best in the league. It feels like everything they've done, they've hit on, whether it be the draft or free agent, the trade for Roquan Smith. And you've seen some great defenses, obviously, over there. But where this one is right now and the things that they do well, if Cleveland is to have success, where will the success come on Sunday?
I think the most impressive thing about the Ravens defense is it's better than the sum of its parts. I mean, you look at Roquan Smith is an all-pro type player, but he's still an inside linebacker, right? And, they don't have that 10 to 12 sack edge rusher who is going to be there at the end of the game. And every team in this division does, really. I mean, between Garrett and Watt and Hendrickson, the Ravens don't have that guy, and yet they lead the league in sacks. So they've taken very much a team approach, the stunts, and it's a very unselfish group. Everyone sort of gets a chance to blitz. Everyone sort of gets a chance to rush and different things. And I think that's the most impressive thing about them. And you're right. I mean, like their best cornerback has not been Marlon Humphrey. It's been Brandon Stevens, who was a third-round pick and who's a college running back. And Geno Stone was waived twice, non-tendered once, and now he leads the league in interceptions. There's a lot of guys who just contribute in their way, and it's just been a lot better than the personnel suggests it should. I think there's still, Marlon Humphrey is still coming back from foot surgery. He's not Marlon Humphrey, peak Marlon Humphrey, Pro Bowl Marlon Humphrey. Brandon Stevens, I think people are kind of waiting for that bubble to burst a little bit. Is this guy legit? Can you go after this guy a little bit? I mean, he's not a shutdown guy. He's just played really well. So, and there have been times where they've been a little susceptible against the running game. And obviously the Browns do that well. I know the Colts ran the ball against them at times. I know the Steelers got going with their run game in the second half against them. So they've not been a completely shut down unit against the run. They've given up some runs this season, but it is a good group. Their offensive coordinator probably will be a head coach. Their defensive coordinator will probably be a head coach at some point soon. And, they play really well together.
Justin Madubuike, you mentioned Geno Stone leading the league with 6 picks. Madubuike leading all defensive tackles with 7.5 sacks. And really no indication that this was coming. I know he got up to 5.5 last year for the season, but to be at 7.5 at this point and to have been so dominant the way he has been, what's kind of the talk about, the reason for his explosion here in 2023?
Yeah, he's just kind of gotten on a heater. I mean, every year, like we've seen flashes. There'd be games where you're like, wow, he's putting it together, and then you wouldn't really notice him for a couple games. I remember 2 years ago, Peter King was out here for his training camp tour, and he predicted Justin Madubuike to be the defensive player of the year, and we were well, that was interesting, and not taking a shot at Peter, but that was this long thought. He has the potential to be a really good interior pass rusher, and you see the explosiveness, you see the aggression, but then you just haven't seen the consistency. This year's the first year he's bringing it every week, and you're seeing it. And look, I'd be a fool not to suggest it probably has something to do with the fact he's a pending free agent, and with every sack he makes himself even more money. I think there's some motivation there, but I just think everybody's also bought in. They're freeing him up. I mean, I don't know how many sacks he's gotten where Patrick Queen kind of rushes, blitzes, and kind of picks off the blocker that Madubuike was going against, and Madubuike cuts inside and gets on the quarterback. Just been a really unselfish approach, and he sort of benefited from that. But that guy brings it. He's a talented guy. He was talented in the draft, and he's just one of those young players where things is just coming together for him this year.
Jeff, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Really appreciate you a great deal.
Always enjoy talking to you guys. Hopefully I'll see you Sunday.
All right, that's Jeff Zrebiec of the senior staff writer at The Athletic, joining us on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Coming up next, we will update you on where we stand with practice as we continue to get our sights set on the Ravens on Sunday. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome into Cleveland Browns Daily. We are brought to you by Ballybet. And we are here.
We are. It's true.
We started the show, I think we had about 6 words, and then it was we had Schwartz and we were there. The team is going to be on the field here in the next 5 minutes or so. We had a lengthy injury report yesterday, but there were certain ones of those that we looked through and said, well, what's serious, what's not here, and that was certainly one of the things we're dealing with now. So this practice will be a big one. Tomorrow will be the ultimate one, as it typically is. But what are you looking for today in that practice report to let you know that things will be okay for the weekend?
Well, I think the thing that you're first and foremost focused on is probably DeJuan Jones. And I think a lot's been made about the speculation that, if DeJuan's going to play left tackle or not. James Hudson's getting work at right tackle. Garen Christian, who was actually Lamar Jackson's left tackle at Louisville, is going to, I guess, would be the next guy up at left tackle, because I don't think Leroy Watson, who's just in his first season, he's very much a project, is ready to go start there. So if you don't have, we know you don't have Jack Conklin, you don't have Jedrick Wills, you could be down to, your 4th and 5th tackles in this one, and I think that's probably the biggest thing to watch. And I think if you're a Browns fan, the one thing that you're hoping for good news on is that we get DeJuan Jones practicing. If that doesn't happen, this is going to be very challenging against a very good pass rush unit and complex pass rush unit, because one of the things we talked about, and Zrebiec talked about it, and when you watch them, what jumps out to you is how many twists and stunts they run. That requires great communication on the fly between your tackles and guards, and if all of a sudden you got 2 new guys at tackle, that becomes, I think, a little bit of a challenge.
For sure it does, and it's
maybe not just a little bit.
This is a monster 2-game stretch for the division, let alone us. So for us, we are at the apex of all, or the center of all of it, in that we've got Baltimore this week, Pittsburgh next. Pittsburgh has Green Bay at home, and then they're here. Cincinnati's got Houston at home, and then they get Baltimore. So us and Baltimore, 2 straight weeks against divisional opponents. It is win them both for sure, but also make damn sure you split. And have to split to have a chance. Meantime, Baltimore's in a position where they beat the Browns and Bengals back-to-back. The division's theirs. They're 9-2 at that point. There's no tracking them down, barring something catastrophic from an injury standpoint.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. These are big games, and the Browns certainly can compete and go into Baltimore and win. We have the talent to do so. That's the one thing that I'll be watching based off of yesterday's injury report. And then the other one is, can we get Greg Newsome back? Because without Cam Mitchell, as we know, he's gone on to IR with an injury. So do we get Greg Newsome back? Those are the two. DeJuan on offense, Greg Newsome on defense. Everybody else that's a little bit nicked up, I think you're going to be fine. Your big name is Chiefs going to be fine. Amari, they get rest. Amari, all those guys. So I feel pretty good overall. Those are the 2 things, though, that I'm really going to be watching for, because those have massive impacts in the sense that if, for example, DeJuan is not able to play, somebody is going to be taking their first snap for the Cleveland Browns this year, in Garen Christian. If Greg Newsome is not able to play, it's likely that, and now this is a guy who's played for the Browns in the past, but it's likely that AJ Green is going to play his first snaps of this season. So there's a lot kind of on those 2 that are really kind of riding on it. And, we'll see there. Pierre Strong, obviously, you hope he can come back from that hamstring. I'm not sure what his status is going to be. But Newsome, in terms of the guys that I think are up in the air, Newsome is a big one, and obviously DeJuan Jones is a big one. Marquise Goodwin, as soon as we get him out of the concussion protocol, he'll be good to go. And we just don't know when that is yet.
Well, and the other thing is Baltimore's got next to nothing. They're totally clean.
They've got Odell, not injury-related rest. Morgan Moses put in a full, so he should be back as their starting right tackle. And then they had their defensive tackle, Michael Pierce, missed because of an illness, not an injury. They literally are 100% healthy.
Yeah.
Which is wild. They haven't had their bye. They've played 9 straight games, physical games. They're a very physical team, and they have been perfectly really healthy, other than you've lost some people over the course of the season, like J.K. Dobbins, David Ajabo. That's going to happen. Everybody. I mean, we've
had catastrophic.
Well, now Conklin, Wills, Nick Chubb.
Yeah,
those are big. that's as big as it gets. I mean, in terms of Nick Chubb, and then your starting tackles, that's a big deal. I mean, we've been very fortunate that Wills had not been hurt prior to this, and DeJuan Jones stepped in and happens to be giving you Pro Bowl level play. But
well, you've also been very lucky that you haven't had anything significant on the defensive side, catastrophic. Right? Yeah, on the plexiglass, because that's been able to lift you. I think that's particle board.
That's probably right.
So I don't know what particle board is. That when I'm looking at.
Isn't it like sawdust that they smush together? So eventually it was wood.
At some point it was.
Yeah.
Particle
Correct.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like there's a hole eaten out of the side of this over here.
So there's a hole in it to run wires through?
But it's not like a clean hole. Like it looks like a rat was trying to eat its way out.
Look at the desk you're sitting at.
You said it, baby.
Remind yourself of that when you ask that question.
It's valid.
You built it.
You built it. This is all your choice.
Oh,
You're choosing.
This is your brainchild.
Remember your schematics.
I will take no credit for that.
I remember you being so proud of it, and that you showed us the schematics as you were
It's
building
such
it.
a fun little triangle back in the day.
How many people out there listening to this program remember the triangle desk?
Mr. Dog sat at that desk.
For
Stone
sure.
Cold
Yeah.
sat at that desk.
Well, that was in the old days. All that changed post-COVID.
Yeah.
In the old days, people would just drop by.
Des Bryant.
Yeah.
Sun's out, guns out.
Sun's out, guns out, baby. You'd get that. You get a little minute. You get Mr. Dog. You get Stone Cold.
Who do you think are like the Mount Rushmore of guests that we've had like inside in this studio?
Snoop,
Stone Cold,
Al Michaels, Stone Cold, and the fourth. I mean, the King. I love every time we see the King.
The King's great.
I love when the King. Am I missing somebody else that's like a no-brainer lock stock?
Didn't we back in the day have the Playmaker?
That was pre-me. I don't think.
Pretty sure.
I
feel like
Playmaker or Dion. One of those two is in here for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Those were the three for me. Were Al Michaels, Snoop, and Stone Cold.
And the Miz always a legend.
Sure, of course. But I mean, in terms
Stipe
of like
Miocic.
Yeah, I wasn't here when Stipe was in.
No.
We used to have those. That would be like they'd come in through that was like in training camp. You'd come in and stop by.
2014.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
My hair was much darker.
Coach Prime.
Me and Coach Prime. Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, there've been a few.
Yeah. I mean for me the cross section of Al and Snoop.
Yeah, it's great. I mean,
come on. That's
when you have those as bookends.
That's about as good as it's going to get right there.
That's
on
a
that
pretty
side of
solid
things.
start.
Yeah. Congratulations to our 223 Browns Fan of the Year, Kathy Erb. Kathy is a retired elementary school PE teacher. We surprised her with a tour of the facility when she met Joel Bitonio, Joe Thomas, and Z. We're excited to send Kathy to the Super Bowl as she represents the Browns for a chance to be named the NFL's Ultimate Fan of the Year. Head to clevelandbrowns.com/fan of the year 2024 to learn more on that.
I think the great Cole and Money Mitch should be in consideration.
Well, from a player,
you can't do
there's
that.
got a Mount Rushmore
They're
of
so elite.
entertainment,
Yeah.
and then a Mount Rushmore of players.
Well, it's also the other.
sure.
The first three that I referenced were people who you like.
All right.
Why are you here?
Iconic.
Yeah, correct.
I remember Sarah was over there and she's like, "Snoop Dogg's coming up," as in the.
His bus is just parked outside. I
As
walked
in-
outside to see, and I'm like, his bus is literally right
Mr.
at the
Dog.
front door.
Mr. Dog came up and that's the way that worked. So I don't know that. And Stone Cold was doing something with Bake for like he was doing like an.
Yeah.
They were riding around in some
Yeah.
crazy Mars-looking rover.
Yeah. That was his. He had like a Comedians in Cars type show that he was doing.
At the time when Number 6 came in studio for the first time was a pretty big moment.
The greatest moment for him is the Four Horsemen out there
Outside under the tent.
on the camp. Yeah, that was the greatest moment there.
Well, that's a
That's
peak.
it. That's the one.
That's on like the show's Mount Rushmore moments.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
Four Horsemen, Mr. Winners.
Yeah.
Wednesday night taped.
Wednesday night taped. Yeah.
For sure.
All right.
Maybe Mount Rushmore needs 3. I feel like we'd have a great. If it was just 3, we'd be loaded both times.
Yeah, and so when you say that, I was trying to think, which president do you take off? I mean, you can't. It's probably Teddy, but the problem is without him, there is no.
Right. Yeah, but does that make him worthy of inclusion that he did it?
The only thing lacking from the dude's resume
It's pretty
is
good.
it's
Speak softly and
unbelievable.
carry a big stick.
The only thing that's yeah, I mean, man in the arena, all of it. The only thing that's lacking from his resume is during his presidency there wasn't a war. So usually to be great, Lincoln, Washington, you have to have a war. but his approval is through the roof historically.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll do a little matchup coming up next. Our defense versus the Ravens offense. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, Browns fans, enter today for a chance to win season tickets for the 2024 season from Sugardale and your local Meijer. Head to browns.com/contest to enter now, and don't forget to grab Sugardale bacon on your next trip to Meijer. Time for the matchup presented by Bally Bet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns defense versus the Ravens offense. For perspective, we turn to Dr. Z.
Oh, kids, this is what we call an old-fashioned slugfest.
Sure is.
Browns defense, number 1 total defense, number 1 against the pass, number 3 in points per game, number 6 against the rush. They've got 7 picks, that's 6th in the league. Third down conversion rate, number 1 in the NFL. They allow 12 first downs a game, 1 in the NFL. The Ravens on offense, they are the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. They are the number 20 passing offense. They are the number 6 total offense, number 6 scoring offense, 26.6 per game. The Browns giving up 17.4 per game, so a 10-point differential there. They do not turn the ball over very much. They've done a great job with that. They possess the football. They are good on third downs. They are good in the red zone. Top 6 in both of those categories. They're led by Lamar Jackson, the 2-time Pro Bowler and the 2019 NFL MVP. Currently leading the NFL at completing 71.5% of his passes. Yes, that's a career high. Almost 2,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks, rating over 100. He's added 440 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns, so he's accounted for 14 touchdowns himself, 4 of which came in the victory over the Cleveland Browns. They can run it. Gus Edwards has a touchdown in 3 straight games on the ground, 6 total in his last 3. He leads the team with 478 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. They also have Keaton Mitchell, an exciting rookie, who last week ran for 138 yards and a touchdown on 9 carries in his first action of the season. Mark Andrews, the 3-time Pro Bowl tight end. He's got 9 touchdowns against the Browns since 2019. That's the most anybody has against any team in the NFL during that span. This year leads the team 477 yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. You heard Jeff Zrebiec talk about their receivers. They have 4 former first-rounders on the team. Nelson Aguilar, Zay Flowers, this year's first-rounder, Rashad Bateman, 21's first-rounder, and Odell Beckham Jr. Right now, Flowers leads the team with 45 catches, second with 472 yards, but he's been under 20 yards in each of the last 2 games, something to keep an eye on there. Their line will be healthy. Ronnie Stanley, John Simpson, Tyler Linderbaum, Kevin Zeitler, and Morgan Moses from right to left. It's a good team, good unit. They're led by, of course, Todd Monken is the offensive coordinator. In terms of things that they do very well, they're the number 3 in terms of EPA per play, number 3 rush offense. They are in shotgun 6th most, 80% of the time. They run play action 9th most, 25.2% of the time. And they are a team that will use multiple running backs down to 37%. Typically, they've been around 50%. Patrick Ricard getting less utilization, but still stands out as an outlier in that aspect. For the Browns, you are going to have to stop the run. You're going to have to stop chunk plays in this game. It was chunk plays that beat us back in week 4. The Browns allowing a big one down the field to Zay Flowers in that one. Flowers would have 3 catches for 56 yards, one of them 40-plus. Andrews 5 for 80. They were able to run the ball with some big chunks as well. That's what the Browns have to clean up. Lamar in that one, by the way, was 15 of 19 for 186, 2 touchdowns, 27 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. We're going to have to be good. It's going to take all 11. Lamar's been great under pressure. He's been great against the blitz. From 10 to 19 yards in the air, the intermediate, he is number 1 in the NFL there. I mean, this is where he ranks among quarterbacks this year. Wins 2nd, completion percentage 1st, touchdown interception ratio 5th, rating 6th, rushing yards per game 1st. He's been very, very good. Browns D is also very good, though, and we've got to play to our talent level. We need big-time plays. We need takeaways. We get that. We can stifle this team. Even in that game against them last time, we did a pretty good job against them. I'm pretty sure 7 of their 12 possessions were 3-and-outs.
Yep.
But we had 2 short field touchdowns due to turnovers, and they had 2 long drives kind of at the end of the second quarter and the beginning of the third quarter, and that really put the game away.
He is right now at a to start the year, he's better than he was when he won the MVP as a passer. He's 75%, 72% passer. The year he won the MVP, he's 66.
He may have had more touchdowns going that year.
He did.
I think he had 5 in week 1 against Miami, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did. He had 36 touchdowns, 6 picks. This year, just 9 touchdowns through the air. So that's the biggest difference in him from that. But in terms of his efficiency and in terms of accuracy, it's better. He's got 440 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns there.
Well, think about the 5 touchdowns. His career high for a season is 7.
7, yeah.
And he's already at 5.
Yeah. Yeah,
well, I said it. We were talking to Zrebiec, and it's not a fun stat to say out loud, but it's worth repeating because this guy was a crud. The last quarterback to lead the NFL in completion percentage and rush yards per game was Steve Young, 1994, with the Niners. Won the MVP. They won the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl MVP. One thing that I noticed against the Cardinals, where they did confuse him a little bit, is they rushed 3, kept a spy on him, and then dropped basically 8 in the coverage, 7 in coverage. 1 was a spy. Work in the middle of the field, short middle. And that at times seemed to kind of contain him, and they were able to have a little more success. I mean, it's wild. These are anomaly stats I'm going to give you. His rating under pressure is 110. It's 98 from a clean pocket. His big-time throw percentage is 12% from under pressure, 2.6% clean. His yards per attempt is 10 when under pressure. It's 6.9 clean. Normally it is inverted.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild that he's been that good under those auspices. He has been much better without a blitz than he has been with a blitz. So maybe it's weird because you want to heat him up, but at the same time, that's when he's been his most dangerous. And so if you're going to heat him up, it requires everybody on the middle, second level, and the third level, the back end, to be about their business and in the right spots to eliminate some of these big plays. And you got to tackle. When you bring the house and you have one guy who can make a tackle in the open field, you have to do it. We failed to tackle on their interception returns in that game. We failed to tackle on the pass to Andrews and a couple of those runs. That's going to be so important in this game.
He was 22 when he won the MVP.
It's wild.
I remember he's not one of those guys that it wasn't like with Watson where coming out of college you were like, yeah, dude, draft him, be enough. I mean, as someone who covered college football all the time, Deshaun Watson was a pretty easy evaluation coming out of Clemson. Lamar was not, but I do remember in the draft just saying, I just would hope he's not in this division.
Yeah, of course he went to Baltimore.
And of course he went to Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's like let's have somebody else
anywhere but
for that work. You forget, too, people forget that, like, that was a monster deal because they moved off of Flacco mid-year. Harbaugh had no contract. He was a lame duck coach his rookie year and was kind of forced into Lamar and then adjusted on the fly, and they got Roman, and then
remember in the playoffs, the Chargers played 3 safeties and like shut him down, and everybody thought, okay, you're going to shut him down. Then he comes on as the MVP the next year.
Yeah.
And I like what Zrebiec said. Roman deserves a lot of credit for what they did there, but he needed to evolve, and this is the next evolution for them. But Lamar Jackson, he's one of those. There's probably not a lot of people that are on the list, or maybe there is a greater number that I know, Heisman and MVPs.
I feel like we did this once. It's like it's him, it's Cam. I think let's do it. No.
Okay. Well, I don't.
Jim
have
Plunkett.
any chance.
Jim Plunkett won the Heisman at Stanford, but I don't think he ever won the MVP.
He won Super Bowl MVPs,
but not league MVP. Charles Woodson was defensive MVP. That's not league MVP. Is there anybody else I'm missing other than Lamar, Cam?
So this is what this list says. Paul Hornung,
sure. Yeah.
O.J. Simpson, Earl Campbell, Marcus Allen.
You forget all the running backs. Running backs used to win MVP.
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders was the NFL MVP?
Yeah. Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson.
Adrian Peterson? We have that? No?
He didn't win a Heisman.
You're right.
Yeah.
Made a good run.
He's like
so that was from a bygone era, though.
Yeah.
You're
talking
all
about running backs. Modern era, you're
quarterbacks,
talking 2 guys.
Too. Yeah, Barry Sanders, 1988, he was the Heisman Trophy winner at Oklahoma State. In 1997, he was the NFL's
He won the
most
NFL
valuable
MVP in 97.
In 97.
Wow. That's amazing.
And then he retired in 99.
What were his numbers in 97 to win the NFL
that had to be
MVP?
the 2,000-yard year. He had the 2,000-yard year.
All right, Sanders. It was the over 2,000 year. 97, he rushes for 2,053 yards, 6 yards a carry, 11 touchdowns, added another 305 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns. So 14 total touchdowns, 2,358 total yards, and averaged 6 yards a carry and 9 yards a catch.
And literally was probably the only weapon at the time the Lions had.
Averaged 128.3 yards rushing per game.
Is that a Scott Mitchell situation in Detroit by 97? Or is that's probably Herman Moore, Brett Perriman maybe on that team?
1997 Detroit Lions.
They had 5 Pro Bowlers. Herman Moore, Luther Ellis, Robert Porcher, Jason Hansen.
Kicker.
He was great.
They had 4 All-Pros. Herman Moore was first team. Barry Sanders was first team. Robert Porcher was first team. Jason Hansen was second team.
Who was the quarterback? Was it Scott Miller?
Quarterbacks were
Scott Mitchell.
Scott Mitchell backed up by Frank Reich.
Wow.
Oof. Running backs, Barry Sanders. The fullback was Corey Schlesinger. They also had touchdown Tommy Vardell.
Love touchdown.
Herman Moore.
First-round pick here when you drafted fullbacks in the first round.
Yep.
Herman Moore.
Had some good years. Johnny Morton.
Johnny Morton from
USC was very good.
Yeah, very good. Pete Metzelars was the tight end.
Touchdown Tommy. Don't look back here and give me a look.
You
touchdown
said he had
Tommy.
some good years here.
We like touchdown Tommy.
There's a
of
great
course.
player from
That's
Stanford, of course.
That's
Tommy
a
Vardell,
layup.
That's a layup.
that you would that
he would be held in high regard. Tommy Vardell was the 9th overall pick in the 1992 draft.
Fullback.
Yes.
Out of Stanford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and his records at Stanford were broken by Toby Gerhart in 2009 and then Christian McCaffrey in 2015. NFL career. Okay, give me his best season.
I will not besmirch him.
Give me his best season.
So you're clear. No matter what that stat sheet says, I will not besmirch Tommy Vardell. I won't have it.
I would think he probably had between 500 and 600 yards rushing.
How many seasons do you think that Tommy Vardell had more than 400 yards rushing in his 8-year career?
Probably 2, maybe 3.
That'd be 1.
1 or none.
1993 had 644 yards, averaging 3.8 yards a carry and 3 touchdowns. That's the peak. Then it's the next year he has 48 yards rushing for the Browns. Then his final year with the Browns, he has 4 carries for 9 yards. I mean,
9th pick of the draft.
9th pick of the draft.
Fullback.
Oh, yeah.
Never averaged 4 yards a carry for his career. He averages 3.5 yards carries. Most productive seasons actually came 1997, 122 yards, career high 3.8 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. Probably as a goal line back, I guess, for them.
My buddy still has a touchdown Tommy jersey.
Sure he does.
That's great, but I mean, you're like, he was great here.
That's just one of those things, though. Like, it's how you remember it.
In 4 seasons, do you want to know the numbers for his Cleveland totals in 4 seasons with the Browns? Tommy Vardell, my word.
Hold on, like this is a prime example of this. You know, I mean, my father grew up in the era when the Browns won the championship in '64.
Correct.
He knows all. He was at Red Right '88.
Sure.
He was at the Drive. He was at the Jets game. He's been at every game. Our family's had tickets forever. Like, one of the biggest joys in his life, we're at Ozzie I got an invitation to Ozzie's party before his induction.
Okay.
In '99 when the Browns came back. There was a big thing downtown
You go to a lot of Hall
at
of
the
Fame
Renaissance
parties.
Hotel.
Yeah.
I get an invitation. I'm just out of college.
So
I'm working
cool.
at the radio.
That
They're
is
like,
very
hey, we
cool.
got 2 tickets. I took my dad. He's over the moon. He's bumping elbows with Bernie and Ozzie and all that. The best joy of the evening, meeting fullback Tim Manoa. He was like, that's Tim Manoa. I had to get a picture with him and Tim Manoa.
That's great.
Yeah. Not the other ones. Like, he's got pictures
not
of
the
them.
guys with the gold
But the one he
jackets.
cherishes,
Yeah.
I think, the most is Tim Manoa.
That's pretty good right there.
All right, Gibbe. 4 seasons for the 9th overall pick.
Yep.
1,070 yards.
Good career. Good job.
3 touchdowns.
He's in the NFL pension plan. He made it more than 5 years.
3.7 yards per carry. He averaged for you.
This is going worse.
He averaged a
Don't you
whopping
besmirch him.
26.8 yards per game in his career as a member of the Cleveland Browns as the 9th overall pick.
All right, there you go. All right, we'll hit you with your Fantasy Minute, your matchup on the other side, and your mailbag coming up in the final hour. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document service for the Cleveland Browns. Tackle any size office. It's 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Gibby, you had a follow-up to our Tommy Vardell conversation?
No. I had a follow to our off-air conversation.
Oh, the off-air conversation. Oh, that
better.
conversation.
Oh, baby. The show behind the show, kids.
Oh, baby.
That's right. Yeah.
Touchdown, Tommy. God. Michael Jackson was the wide receiver.
Oh, he was good.
He was a good player.
It's funny that you have – I mean, that's nostalgia, right? I mean, that's how, all these T-shirt companies and, that buddy of mine who runs Homage, like, he made an entire company off of that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, this reminds me of my youth. And so you view things as a kid, in your mind's eye. Like I had – like the way you view Rex, right? Like King Rex. Hold on. Just relax before you get all defensive.
It's better than Tommy Vardell.
Clearly. But I would also – I mean, that's – so, like, at a point in my life, I remember when the Magic – I was a Lakers guy. They were my favorite team of all the teams I liked. It was an easy thing to root for in the 80s when I was a really little kid. And then Magic got HIV, and it was like, well, this sucks. What am I watching now? And then all of a sudden Nick Van Exel shows up, and you're like, let's go. Now, in my mind's eye, Nick Van Exel was a stud. Now, I don't know if he was a stud or not. I think he made an all-star game.
I think multiple.
But he was like one of my –
was a girl on that.
He was an all – he's like when people say, like, who are your 5 favorite Lakers, like, if you had that conversation with me, Nick Van Exel is one of my 5.
Wow.
Love him. Love Nick Van Exel.
Nick Van Exel.
Nick the Quick.
Out of
Number
Cincinnati?
9.
Out of the Natty?
Lefty out of the Natty.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, basketballreference.com. Here we go.
Let's see how it holds up, old Nick the Quick.
One-time All-Star.
Yeah, see?
1993-94 All-Rookie. All right. I wouldn't have had this. Only averaged 20 points a game once. I would not have had that. I would have thought it would have been more than that.
Different league. At that time, you weren't scoring 120. I mean, everybody was. Remember, like
it was like
that was.
Yeah, but I
79.
think of him as a good. Like there were guys who were still the principal scorers for their teams. They would score 20.
I don't know that he was the principal though, because they had Eddie Jones at that time too, and then like there were a couple other guys that they had kind of.
His All-Star year.
It's probably
he was not as good of a shooter as I remember. Yeah. All-Star year, he shoots 42% from the floor, 39% from 3. He goes
40 from 3 in those days was probably pretty good though.
13.8 points per game, 7 assists, 3 rebounds.
Yeah.
His best season scoring was 21.4 with Denver in 2001-2002.
Did he end his career with Dallas?
Career 40% from the floor.
Yeah.
That surprises me.
Yeah. All jump shots. Though.
Did he win a championship with Nowitzki? He
could have won that maybe with Dallas.
Doesn't say champion.
The Lakers, they grew tired of him. Kobe grew tired because Kobe ended up coming over in one of the deals shortly thereafter in 90. I think Kobe was drafted in 96.
Gosh,
98?
nothing like
maybe? No, 96. Garnett was 95.
One of my favorite seasons in hoops, 93-94. Rex with the Washington Bullets.
God. How do you watch in those games?
I have him on VHS. I have the one where he went for 39 in his return to Charlotte.
How many All-Stars for Rex?
None.
0.
Stunning. So 39 that year goes 50% from the floor, 40% from 3, averages 18.2. 50% from the floor that's playing ball.
Well, he got to the rim though.
He got to the rim
a lot. Yeah.
He was pretty good for Miami at the end, and then Phoenix at the end when he was like
that's
a 3-point bomber.
Him when he was the bomber at the end. All right, Fantasy Minute.
By the way, Nick Van Exel currently Atlanta Hawks assistant coach.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, he was. I love Nick. Quick. Fantasy Minute.
Fantasy Minute.
Presented by Scaleco Capital. Scaleco Capital, investing in scaling companies locally.
Where's the big Aristotle for you? I loved Shaq.
Well, he was somebody who when that happened, then it was like, oh, we can win again.
Yeah.
That's what that
but
was.
You were you were a Kobe over Shaq.
Yeah, I mean,
over Shaq.
I loved Shaq, but like he wasn't really fun to watch. He was just a big bully,
Dominant.
And I think honestly, his size, the league didn't know how to referee him at all because he was so big.
Yeah.
And so I think he gets disrespected because he only won 1 MVP.
That's outrageous.
Which is outrageous. Like him and Kobe have the same amount of MVPs together as Steve Nash has on his own. And nobody would ever say that you would take Steve Nash over either one of those two by a billion miles.
No way.
And I love Nash. I'm a huge Nash guy. But that's just nonsensical. Shaq only won 1 MVP.
Here's a guy that I loved. Derek Coleman. That was a big DC guy.
You like gunners.
Only one All-Star for him.
It's interesting. You like gunners and you like guys who are pain in the neck.
I don't know if Derek Coleman was a gunner.
Oh, for God's sakes. Of course he was a gunner. You
Come
like
on.
Jeff George, Coleman. Rex was a gunner.
Rex was great.
Yeah, but I don't think Rex. I think Rex is a good dude. Like I don't
Rex is a
like
great
Derek
dude.
Coleman. I'm not sure was
The
a great
big
dude.
Aristotle. Loved Shaq.
And we know that Jeff George was not a great dude.
No.
I do have practice updates.
Give it to us
real quick from us
before we do the fantasy minute.
Miles back, Batonio back, Cooper back. Obviously, vet days off. DeJuan Jones, David Bell working on the side again. Goodwin not on the field, concussion. Back practicing. Greg Newsome.
There we go.
David Njoku and Pierre Strong.
Okay.
Okay. All right. One out
I
of
think
two
what
ain't
we're looking
bad.
for is Thanos. Then that'll be. We'll follow that as the week goes along.
Yes.
All right, fantasy minute. What do you got?
All right. This is a tough week. Tough week because of the buys. You got it's Eagles, Chiefs.
Yep.
Who else? Eagles, Chiefs. That's a different app. I have to go to a different app. I got you. 1 second. But just that right there is tough. Eagles, Chiefs,
Rams,
Dolphins. Eagles, Chiefs. So Eagles, Chiefs, Dolphins right now are fueling many a fantasy team. So what do you got to do? You got to scrounge it together. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to break it down for you right now. All right, quarterbacks. Start there. Guys that you can get and play this week. Obviously, you ride the hot hand of C.J. Stroud. Am I afraid? Am I afraid of going out there and putting Kyler Murray in my lineup? You're darn right I'm not afraid of doing that.
He's in for me.
Put him in.
He's in for NBC.
Josh Dobbs against the Saints. Not afraid of Josh Dobbs at all. I think he's a guy that you got to pick up, and you've got to go ahead and play him if you need some help at that quarterback position. Taylor Heineke as well against Arizona. Those would be some of the quarterbacks I'd be looking at to try to get you through this bye week. Running backs. I mean, basically, if you have a guy that's a starting running back, you're going to play him this week. Rashad White has reached must-play status. James Conner's back. Get him in your lineup. I think that he's good to go. Deontay Foreman is somebody that you certainly could look at as a starter this week. I think he's played one more. He's got one more game with Khalil Herbert. Not expected to return. Good matchup against the Carolina Panthers, his former team. Deontay Foreman revenge game. I think that he'd be somebody you could get into your lineups this week as well. So that's some of the running backs for you. Tough week. Honestly, it's a tough week.
It's brutal.
When you got guys that are going to, they're going to touch the ball like the Javantes, David Montgomery, Gibbs, all of them. Bijan, don't know. Don't know what to tell you what to do with Bijan.
He's so valuable off ball.
Did you watch that thing they sent the 5 minutes?
Yeah. Well, I'm not watching all of it. I can't stand that guy. But
oh,
I
my
watched
God.
little enough. Yeah.
He's like, well, it's the intent. Like, that was outrageous.
Yeah.
Wide receiver position. You got to keep an eye on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, both right now missing some practice time. What do you think?
Jamar showed up and looks like I think they're both going to play.
Okay.
Jamar was a limited, but T sat out practice today.
Okay.
But I think both will go Sunday.
All right. I like Adam Thielen tonight like I do every single week. Deontay Johnson is a good start. Terry McLaurin in one of the most pass-happy offenses in the league remains a very good start for you. DJ Moore tonight, Drake London, Godwin, and then somebody in Houston. You got it's hard to know. Is it Tank Dell? Feels like it might be Tank Dell. Nico Collins, Noah Brown.
Noah Brown had a big game last
Yeah, they're
week.
all kind of thriving. Here's the wild thing. I don't know what to tell you to do with Devontae Adams. Like, I'm contemplating benching him for Godwin in one of my leagues.
Yeah,
which
it's just been enough. You feel like at some point the new administration, like
what he has
just
going
throw
for
him
him
the ball 15 times.
Yeah,
and let's see what happens.
What he has going for him is that you don't want to have the week that you're like, I've had enough, is the week that he goes for 170 and 2, and so you'll live with one catch for 11 yards and not like it at all. Tight ends. Cole Kmet tonight, coming alive. 2 touchdowns last week for him. Dalton Schultz over 100 yards. Ferguson of Dallas, I think they found something there that they'll be able to get him the ball. And then Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta. I told you guys to get Kincaid weeks ago, and that guy has been, since he's been the guy, been a stud every single week. Taysom Hill, I think, is a must-start every week as well because he's not just a tight end. You're getting bonus things that nobody else with that position designation gets you.
I'm picking up Cole Kmet for NBC. He's got Kelsey on a bye.
Yeah, Cole Kmet's a good one to pick up. Defenses this week, because these are always important, and these really help you win. of guys that might be available. Jets against the Las Vegas Raiders, and then Raiders against the Jets. I like both of those. And then I think tonight, even though they're not a great defense, the Bears against Carolina. I like anybody against Carolina right now, honestly. By the way, how would you feel if you were? You're gonna get to be right now. You're playing the role of the owner of the Carolina Panthers.
Oh boy.
And you are on the road playing the Chicago Bears,
Yep.
who are currently owning your first-round pick,
Yep.
as well as their own, which
That's
is
right.
they're
2-3 right now.
currently
right?
2-3, so they're not good either. You drafted Bryce Young 1 overall. He's playing for you in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing a guy who was not drafted, Tyson Bagent, and they're 4-point favorites over your organization.
That's body bag stuff, man. Meantime, the kid you passed threw for 470 and 5 touchdowns last week.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's a tough spot.
Yes.
I do think that I'm surprised that I know how incompetent Carolina is, but that number surprises me, that it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. People
It's
are
going to be an interesting one today with Bagent.
I'm doing something tonight that I'm gonna say it, and then we'll go to the break, and then you can gather your thoughts.
At the end.
No, right now.
Oh, right
say
now.
It right the second.
Okay, go.
This game will be muted on the second TV down in the corner.
For sure.
And I'm gonna watch my first Christmas movie of the year tonight. I'm gonna miss 9 days of Christmas movie
Wait,
watching.
how are you gonna do that?
Gross.
Don't you have
That is no.
I'm gonna miss 9
It's not
days
even
of Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
Dude,
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
be on the
miss
road.
9 days of Christmas. There's so many good Christmas movies. We gotta start now.
Got to get on it.
No,
I
you
gotta
don't.
get on it.
No, you don't.
How are you going to do that?
can-
You have
can
Golden
binge
Bachelor
watch.
tonight. Don't you have Golden Bachelor?
That's
Miss
on
K?
Thursdays.
Today is Thursday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And you're on remote at Razzles.
And you're on the remote
So
at
you're
Razzles.
not- you're not
Dude,
watching
Yeah, I'm
you're
going
para-
home and watching a Christmas
You're
movie.
going to
No, you're
paratroop
not.
into some lasagna
Love-
soup and the Bachelor.
No, I
That's
think
how this-
I think I've asked
What's
for a
Miss K?
fajita
Go
shrimp
straight to
quesadilla
hell with
tonight.
that take.
fajita
Yeah.
shrimp quesadilla. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a nice
A little guacamole on the side.
Yeah, I
a
like that.
little taco salad to go with it. Keep it fresh.
I like it.
Christmas
I
movie.
Love Actually.
What in the hell?
Love
are you
Actually.
Oh,
doing?
God.
Love
that's
Actually.
great.
That's the kickoff
I
every
do
year.
Love Actually is a great movie.
I'm not okay. So normally, when would I start Christmas movies? Literally Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving.
But now
This
you're
drama
stuck.
That
with
Saturday,
missing this
Sunday,
week,
Monday, all of it.
Not being home for these 9 days is just going to grow with him. I'm already.
It's
It's
peak
already going to
Christmas,
be
and we're
tough,
gonna be
and
out
you
in the
can
land
already
of
see him
palm
planting
trees.
the seed.
This is gonna be peak
This
Christmas
is going to
movie
just
watching.
get louder and louder and louder.
Yeah.
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 That is a long time to be away.
We've done it. We've done it already.
The only
done
thing
it.
that's going
Yeah.
to
We've
help
done
is
it
if
twice
I'm-
already.
If I'm crying myself to sleep with my golf clubs.
Well, that's easy.
That'll
That's
be the
easy.
only
you
thing
can
that'll
solve
make it
that
better.
on your own.
Well,
that-
you
that's
got to
right.
figure that out
Yeah,
because
you
I
can
don't
sort
think
that
they're
out.
taking them.
You're going to be doing Bel Air
I
one
know
day
people.
and
Ship sticks.
play Sherwood one day.
We're looking.
Rivy?
Right now,
Rivy?
we're trying to go.
LACC.
Trying.
I like it. Well, you know people that probably can get that type of thing done.
I know
all right,
one.
Coming up next, we'll do a little bit of the matchup. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Your game plan for this season includes buying or selling a home. Howard Hanna has the answer, delivering a winning strategy for breaking down the game of real estate. As the market leaders in Northeast Ohio, more buyers and sellers trust Howard Hanna to be their winning home team. Visit howardhanna.com/Go Browns today. And now let's head to the podium. Offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt.
You're down.
Long pass to Cooper. Was 20 to nothing.
Right.
No, but you think just having that on video creates an advantage to let everyone else know that there's still lots of deep threat despite all this shoulder problems?
Oh, yeah. No, there's no question. I mean, he threw the ball accurately down the field all day, so that was good. Getting him back out there was awesome. Felt like he was close to back to normal. He missed some things early, shorter, but the long balls were indication of where we're heading. We're really happy.
Why might it be almost easier with that kind of an injury to hit the long ball than the shorter?
It is. I think so. As a thrower, it's a longer motion. You're putting more body into it. Your legs are involved more as opposed to the shorter ones where you may not get your full body into those throws and rely more on just your shoulder strength, but that'll continue to grow.
Alex, how much difference will it make with your offense, to have Deshaun back compared to DTR when he wasn't really expecting to play that first game?
Yeah, big difference, I hope. That's the plan going in. Have a good week of preparation. Deshaun's played this group before, so know what to expect there, and he played well last time he played him here at home.
So after what you said about the long balls, do you think his shorter throws, which were not to his satisfaction, were more the result of the injury than the longer throws?
I think so. That and just knocking that rust off again. Now the first couple throws, I was like, man, he missed those. But then you look back on the tape, there's some circumstances that come up where the receiver maybe took his eyes off and slowed down a hair where it was a little too far out in front. So as I watched the tape, I felt better.
Alex, how do you? Now you had to practice yesterday without Dewan. How are you approaching that tackle spot or both tackle spots?
Yeah, just really, Kev said it best. We're just working through everything right now, all the different possibilities, and we'll obviously let that go all the way up to game time to see who's there. But James has always worked hard. He's played both sides. Does a nice job when he gets in. So, but we have other options, and we'll see. We'll let that go right up to game time.
How unsettling is it against a pass rush like the Ravens have?
Yeah, anybody that goes out there, if you had the full healthy Boda lineman out there, it's still a challenge. That's a good defense, and the edge rushers are special. So, it's always a challenge, and that's part of football. We got to find a way to make it work.
Other than the change to quarterback, what do you guys have to do to be better than that first Baltimore game?
Oh, man, not turn the ball over. That's the first and foremost. Really, we had a small victory party on Monday. As we got the team back together, literally, we shot off confetti, blew air horns. Yeah, it was cool. Celebrating no turnovers. So first and foremost, we got to take care of the football. And then in the hostile environment on the road, your operation has to be, elite. We talk about that often. If we could prepare and get ready for the game the same way we did in Seattle, from an operational standpoint, we'll feel good. Then it's just about outworking these guys and trying to finish. It's a very physical, good defense. We know that. It's a AFC North. It's never easy playing our division opponents, and it won't be any difference.
Alex, how have you seen the evolution of the running back room just kind of grow over the last few weeks? And I know we've talked obviously as a committee, but the way that they complement one another as a unit.
Yeah, no, it's good. You got guys like Kareem. That's just a grinder, man. He's a hard runner and makes good cuts, gets positive yards. Jerome has ability to catch a ball out of the backfield, his ability to make guys miss. And it has that speed, the long speed as well. Then you get Pierre into the mix, and he's a true speed guy. Like, he can get to the corner and chew up yards quickly. So it's a good complement of backs, and they do complement each other. Again, it'll be giving them all touches and then finding out who's feeling it that day and maybe giving them a few more.
What sets their linebackers apart from other groups around the league?
Freakish athletes, big bodies, their instincts and their ability to diagnose, play schemes, I think is what separates them. Definitely, two of the elite linebackers in the league, probably one of the better duos in the league. So, it's a challenge every time you play those guys, and we got to be up for it for sure. They pressure with those guys. They do a lot with those linebackers, and it's a team that rarely plays dime because they want to keep those two players on the field at all times, and I don't blame them.
Kevin's talked about the attention the defenses give Amari week in and week out, yet he's still having a really productive season for you. So how's Amari able to do that despite the attention?
Well, for starters, he has to be patient, I think, and he has been. The last throw to him in the game was something that those guys came up with on the sideline. You know, every third down, Amari was getting doubled. And oftentimes they were doubling from low and not getting back over the top. So those guys saw that on the tape and brought it to our attention. We dialed it up and drew it up real quickly on the sideline and then executed it in the next drive. So finding ways just to find balls for him, you know, whether it's moving around, putting him in motion, hiding him in the backfield, whatever we need to do. But very productive player for us. And, you know, teams are definitely doing their due diligence and trying to take him away.
You know, a lot of focus is on Amari as far as his production goes. How do you get more production out of the rest of that receiving core? I know David's a big part of the pass game.
Sure.
You know, Jerome and that, but just from a receiver standpoint, it just feels like, yeah, other guys are getting targets, but the production's coming from Amari, and that's about it. So how do you improve that?
Well, anytime you double one guy, you're going to have to single some other guys up. So we got to win our one-on-ones there. You know, Elijah's done some really good things for us as well. Said just really getting into it now. Expect to see him have some more productivity. And then Dave, I mean, Dave's playing at an elite level right now from the tight end position, both in the run and the pass game. So finding ways to spread the ball, using the backs more in the pass game.
30.
Available.
I know Nick Harris has kind of become your fullback, although it's never really been officially announced like that. Is it fair to consider him on the offensive line this week, given all of the challenges you guys have at tackle?
Yeah, I mean, he's a Swiss Army watch or knife for us, really. So he can get in there and do a lot of different things. We'll still continue to use him in multiple spots.
You're up.
All right, there you go, offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. Time for the matchup presented by Ballybet, sports betting partner your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Cleveland Browns offense versus the Ravens defense. And for that, we go to Dr. Z.
Oh, baby. Very good defense. As
Sure
we
is.
talked about, the Browns, you know, they're number one in a lot of categories. Well, so are the Ravens. Number one in points per game, number two total yards, number two passing yards, number one in sacks, number one opponent quarterback rating, number one red zone defense. So they are very, very good. But one thing I've told you guys, and I'll say it again, number one total defense is 11-1 against the number two total defense week 10 or later since the 1970 merger. Feels like we can't lose. Browns by $1 billion. If I had a Hall of Fame smoking jacket, I would wear it, and I would say that while puffing on a cigar. Maybe that's a spoiler for this week's Browns Insiders. Maybe it's not.
I like it.
I don't know. Remind me to show you that in the break.
All right, very good.
They're very good. They got Justin Madubuike. We talked about him, how he's kind of had that breakout year, 7.5 sacks to lead all defensive tackles. They've got the best linebacking combo with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, one of three tandems over 75 tackles this year. They both can blitz. They have a combined 5 sacks this year. They both can play the pass. They have a combined 8 passes defensed already. They have a combined, that's 162 tackles already. They're really, 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 really good. And then they can rush the passer. Clowney's got 3.5 sacks and 41 pressures, which is 6th in the NFL. Kyle Van Noy's got 5 sacks in 6 games since he's joined them. Odafe Oweh's got 2 sacks in his last 3 games. Madubuike, I said, had 7.5 for you. They're just very effective, and they can blitz. Their safety, Kyle Hamilton, had 3 sacks this year, although they all came against Indy. They got Marlon Humphrey back. Geno Stone leads the NFL with 6 picks. They're really good, and they're solid at every level. Now, I do think their corners are gettable, but you're going to have to protect, and that's been the hard thing, is this is a defense that generates a lot of pressure. Their pressure rate is 38%. That's 11th best in the NFL. By comparison, the Browns' pressure rate's 43.5. That's 3rd. But they're going to generate a lot of pressure, and when they do, that makes it more difficult to challenge those corners. So the Browns are going to have to put themselves, number one, in good third downs and distances. You cannot be in 3rd and long all game, especially with the uncertainty right now around DeJuan Jones. This is a tall task, but we've got to get Amari going, which we have. I think Elijah Moore, who keeps getting open, needs the ball a little more. David Njoku, and then it's going to be on Deshaun Watson. We got to take care of the football. Browns 14-2 under Kevin Stefanski when they do not turn the football over. This is a team that's going to play a lot of different zones. They're going to rush 4. They're going to do a lot of twists. We've got to be about our business blocking those linemen this week. We just, like I said, can't let this game get away from us early. We have to execute the early portion of our game plan, I think, very effectively, and we've got to go ahead and put points on the board early. This Ravens team has not trailed against a team with a winning record all season. they have not been in kind of the only dogfight games they ended up in were Indianapolis and Pittsburgh, and they kind of gave both of those away at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got it. We've got to stay in this game.
There you go. There's your matchup. When a medical mistake causes your injury, call the medical malpractice attorneys at 100 Elk, Ohio. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We hit you with the mailbag coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Pet Supplies Plus give you a chance to win tickets to home games all season long while providing the best deals for your pet at over 75 stores throughout Ohio. Enter to win at clevelandbrowns.com/Pet Supplies Plus. Receive a coupon to use at your local store with your entry. Pet Supplies Plus, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a little mailbag presented by the Cross Country Mortgage, the official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns. When it comes to financing, they're always going to get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029.
We're just about 4 hours because you're coming out to Razzles last night. The lady had her time at Pink last night. It's your night. And you're
That's
like, what would I rather do?
That's the trade-off.
Nothing. I'd rather go to Razzles and meet Uno's mom.
Uno's family and all of his people.
The Entourage.
The Entourage.
We're
We'll
about
be there tonight.
4 hours away. I think I'll probably be pressing flesh with some of the Entourage.
Yeah, I want to get there early.
Same.
I don't want to be.
You better get there early. AWOC's coming.
AWOC's coming too. So there you go.
It's a big
night. I better get there, or just in general people. He's a VIP as well.
I would think. Yeah.
But
who has the longer line tonight?
Spot.
Uno or AWOC for autographs?
I think AWOC starts. I feel like Uno finishes.
Oh.
I like it. I like it, Uno.
Yeah, I like that.
Big day for him.
Who's our biggest so far this year?
Uno, you're growing out the facial hair too. I notice a little bit are getting pretty aggressive.
I don't know what that is on his face.
I don't either.
I can tell you what it looks like off air.
I
have an answer. You're right.
I would like you. I would like Uno to shave his chin and have it look like a Civil War style, because it has kind of the side puff of the Civil War era beards.
I like it.
You know what I'm talking about, Uno?
If we win Sunday, we're doing that.
Yes, good.
Only if we win.
If we win,
he's in. Let's go.
The stakes have never been higher.
They've never been higher than they are currently.
All right. Before I get into the questions, Uno has come up with a trivia question for the two of you that he's been dying to ask you, so I said there's no time like the present.
Like right now. Go ahead, Uno.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Lamar Jackson and his rushing.
Right. Yep.
He leads all quarterbacks with 440 rushing yards this season.
Okay.
Do you know which quarterback is number 2?
I have a guess.
Okay.
And my guess is Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs is correct.
What a job out of you. Dobbs. I was going to go Fields even with the injuries.
Josh Dobbs also has a rushing touchdown in 3 straight games, which is the second longest active streak in the league.
I like that trivia, though, out of you.
He's ahead of Jalen Hurts by 8 rushing yards. So
it was. I knew it. Hurts was the first answer, so I was like, okay, who could it be that isn't Hurts? Because Uno wouldn't have come with this if it was just like Jalen Hurts. And I got to Josh Dobbs.
Joshua Dobbs.
How about it?
How about it?
What was your expectation? Would we get that right or no?
I thought you were going to know it because you were looking at Lamar stats all day, that you might have stumbled across it, but I figured that you would go Hurts or something like that.
I would have went Fields, just even with the injuries.
Well, I would like
Fields.
When I meet the Entourage, I'd like an introduction that properly highlights my mastery of all subjects.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
All right. Good job.
Love Actually.
H. Snyder tweets at the show.
It's great.
How long does it take Al Michaels to lose it tonight?
So I think you're going to get Al Michaels because he did that thing with Marchand this week, and so I think he's aware.
Did you read it?
I did. I think there's incredibly pointed.
Yeah.
I think that he is aware that people are complaining about him. I think it probably bothers him. He's the best maybe to ever do it. So I think he'll get his A, whatever that is. Now, how do you define what his A is in a game like this? Because the problem here is this is going to be all based on his rapport with Herbie, because this game sucks.
He's not. I think
it goes the other way.
I think that this one he doesn't care about. I think you're going to get the best that he has to offer next Thursday for the Bengals and the Ravens. That will tell you where he's at on his all of it.
I bet he does great on that one.
That's where he's gonna give you everything, because the audience will be bigger.
Yeah,
the audience will hopefully stay with that whole game. I love football. I could watch.
I'm out. Same on Sunday night, by the way. I'm not watching Jets Raiders.
No
chance.
It depends if I need Devontae to do something. But that's second screen viewing. That's not
primary.
That's not primary screen. No.
Austin B tweets at the show, I happen to come across highlights from the 2015 Browns-Ravens game in Baltimore. Z, what do you recall from that game other than the Barnage Thighmaster catch?
Oh, yeah, the butt catch. If this is correct me if I'm wrong, Gibbe, but I'm going off the top of my head when he says 15. This is McCown throws for like 400 and something yards, sets a franchise record for most passing yards ever by a Cleveland Brown.
I believe that's
And we
right.
win it in overtime on a Travis Coons field goal.
And then we had one of the biggest coaches show remotes ever. Travis Coons was there signing autographs.
Do I have that right? Let's see, 2015.
I feel like yes.
In Baltimore, Browns win 33-30, on a Travis Coons field goal. Yep, I did have that right. Yeah, that's what I remember. Josh McCown threw for like 400 and something yards.
Yeah.
Franchise record. Barnage caught the ball with his buttocks.
I remember
and we won.
Most substantial coaches show I did came after a Ravens win, too, when Freddie won over there.
That's right.
And then showed up.
We still need a third.
Didn't want to leave.
We still need
like,
a
coach,
30.
you got to go back to practice.
That was Freddie and the Hammer.
That's
who
right,
also
Freddie
didn't
and the
want to
Hammer.
leave. We
Really
need a 30 for
Not sure
30
he
on
ever
that
did.
on that flight home, Gibbe.
Yeah.
We need the real truth, Bootsy.
I don't know if we can handle that. I don't know if the people can handle
Well, we're here, so it's a binary. Flying is binary. Do you make it?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm fine hearing how close I was to not making it,
Now
knowing that I did
now
make
that you
it.
made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle Gratz, if Z is that into Christmas movies,
Yes.
what are the top 3 Christmas movies of all time?
You have to split them up, I think, by genre. There's comedy and then there's emotional. So I think anytime that's the same thing I do with sports movies. So there's sports movies that are funny, and then there's the emotional. Like Hoosiers and Major League aren't the same genre, even though they're both sports.
I
Makes sense?
think
Do you
that's
have
fair.
that with the holiday movies?
Yeah, I mean, I think they all have some entertainment value. I guess like The Holiday or Love Actually would be more kind of in the romantic genre.
Sure.
I really enjoy. I mean, number one for
Heartfelt.
me is Christmas Vacation. Number 1, Elf is number 2, Christmas Story is number 3, and then I tell you what that I love and I'd recommend everybody. Office Christmas Party.
You got me onto that.
Office
Yeah.
Christmas Party
It's
is a
amazing.
great
It's really
movie.
good. Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
It's
good.
a great movie.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I like Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Is that Thanksgiving or Christmas? I don't know.
It's Christmas.
Is it
Christmas.
Christmas?
Yeah, remember he's got the tree up and everything, and
Yes, yeah.
there's so many things that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
on that you would.
I think it's totally feasible that a young man would be able to take on 2
Not talking about
criminals.
Let's just start at the beginning with like mom and dad being unaware that they left an 8-year-old.
Yeah. Well, there was the head count
Right, but like
gone awry.
Bootsy's 8. I'm gonna want to look in his face.
By the way,
Yeah,
they're
you wanna
also
make eye
not quiet.
contact.
Like
No.
he's not just going to be. He's
not
a-
inconspicuous.
yeah, right. Exactly.
I know where he is.
By the way, is today the day 1 potentially of if he's?
We'll see.
if
We
he's-
got a lot going on tonight. Basketball practices. We've got a football banquet. So it's possible that where there won't be. And I told the blonde, I said, look, you cannot do this punishment without me present. I have to be there the first time this is levied. I can't have it any other way because I'm recording it.
Yeah.
I got to see the look on his face. The life.
But
dream.
don't let him know you're recording because he might think it's a joke. You got to like.
No,
you have to
I-
stage this. What are you,
what-
an amateur? No, not at all.
What am I, hard at knowing how to trick my kids into being on camera? Come on, it's easy.
Well, you missed a great opportunity earlier.
What'd I miss?
Michael Meyer paid a visit to their house.
Oh my gosh!
Not on video.
That is the biggest miss.
Yeah,
maybe the
it should have been a
biggest
phone
regret.
set up on a bookshelf
Yeah,
in that room.
Probably the biggest regret of my life is that right there.
Well, it means you had a good
Bold
life.
statement, Cotton.
You
Yeah,
had a good
I've
life.
had a lot of things. Yeah, but that
I wonder what Gibbe's biggest regret of his life is.
not for air.
Boy, is it not.
Not for air.
The
Definitely.
list
not
is
for air.
long and distinguished, kids. That's for sure.
Gibbe.
Oh boy.
What a legend.
Love a Dog today. What reality show do you think you'd thrive in? Z, would you bail on a challenge if it was simply to eat an egg? Yes, I can answer that for you.
Like a hard-boiled egg?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Get
No
right on
chance.
out of here.
Yeah.
I think I would have done great on The Bachelor in
Same.
Paradise.
That
That
would
could
have
have
been pure joy.
Pure joy.
That would have been amazing. I would have
Yeah.
played that up and had the time of my life.
Great.
I think you and I would do very well at the Amazing Race.
Yeah.
I like the Amazing Race.
That'd be fun.
I think we could.
We're
we would thrive
resourceful.
at that.
Yeah.
Resourceful, quick on our feet.
Yeah.
Huge bees. I think we'd be fine.
Huge beast.
Bobby,
Captivate a nation.
if someone
Hey, Bobby!
if someone narrated your life, who would you want to be the narrator?
Richard Attenborough. I did it.
Out of nowhere.
Well, you just dropped narrator, and I just thought of the Earth ones,
Yeah.
Planet Earth or whatever.
I mean, I feel like I would either want it to be Morgan Freeman or The Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah.
Pat Summerall.
I like Pat Summerall. Yeah, that's good. Nance.
I want a
Maybe
little more
Jim Nance
for your life. Your life is going to have like some real points of excitement that are
Yeah.
needed. And if he's going solo, he doesn't have Matt in there to
That's
really
true, yeah.
emphasize it.
Yeah.
It would be. I think we'd be robbed of a little joy.
Could be.
Spiciest thing you've ever eaten from Bobby?
A St. Elmo's cocktail that
That you
I
almost
almost died, and you two witnessed it. And I don't have a problem with the heat of their cocktail sauce, but it was a bite where the horseradish was overwhelming, and it was a bite with a big chunk of horseradish. And I thought I was going to die. It hurt my brain. It really hurt my brain physically. And how long did it take me to be back to like normal functioning? A good 5 to 10 minutes, probably.
Oh yeah, I was just say I was thinking 10, 15.
10 minutes to like get back to on my feet.
Yeah,
Like
you couldn't
it was,
talk for a while.
No, I couldn't talk for 5 minutes, and it took, probably 10.
The rest of the
before
meal was a little off.
the rest of the night was off. But I mean,
Well,
like for 10 minutes, I
had a great meal.
For 90 seconds, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And then it was 5 minutes of really hard convalescing, and then another 5 to just get back to even.
Yeah. Hottest thing for me was that Carolina Reaper sauce at Barrio those many years ago, where the only thing that could squelch that fire, well, I could not speak. My eyes were, I was crying. My face was red. I thought I was going to die, and I couldn't communicate. And fortunately, she saw, and I ended up ripping a couple half and halves.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the only cream they had in the whole place. A couple
crushing
half and
it.
halves, just crushing
Give me
them.
ice cream, give me
Yeah.
something. All they had was half and half.
Half and halves, which are not tasty.
No. But it's
Especially
all
if
that'll
you
do
don't
it.
love cream.
No.
By the way, Preston tweeted at the show, "Who are Karch Karai and St. John Smith?" I was like, "Excuse me?"
Come on.
And then he said, "Side note, I booked a flight to Naples and was disappointed on every level that I was going to Florida and not Rhode Island."
I like this guy. I'm a fan of this
On
guy.
every
This guy's got a
level.
chance. That kid's got a chance. I like him. Good job out of you.
Yeah.
We'll get you your score for Thursday night coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Join Z and Gerard tonight, 7 to 8. Kevin Stefanski Show live from Razzles at Olmsted Falls. The Entourage will be there as well.
Yes.
You'll also get a chance to meet linebacker Anthony Walker Jr. as a group.
I
Get you
love
ready.
he's third on the billing.
Entourage.
Ahead of Anthony Walker Jr. He's third.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Dude, he's coming with
Brought
his
to you by
people,
Bud Light.
his
Easy
mother.
to Sunday. Easy to enjoy. Third on the billing. Z, Gerard, Entourage, Anthony Walker Jr.
Yeah. Uno and the Entourage.
It's your turn on Thursday night. I'll
Panthers,
follow you to Freedom.
Bears from Chicago. Joe Thomas on the call tonight. Give him a listen on Westwood One.
Bajent, arm wrestler. Bryce Young looks like an arm. Advantage Bears. Bears by 1 billion Thursday. Book it.
Next Level's up next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.